Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the Face Off. Now, this morning we'll be looking at the ministerial list that President Muhammadu Buhari just submitted to the Senate for consideration. Now, this is how we decided to come up with our topic: ministerial or compensation list. Because the moment that list was released, a lot of Nigerians went online to throw in their comments as far as their views on that list is concerned. And this morning we decided to do a face-off between two social media influencers that we have around this place. And that's the person of Mr. Fares Opere and Mr. Jack Obiya. So this morning they'll be looking at the topic, ministerial or compensation list. Before we go straight, I have with me here some wonderful studio guests that will be joining us in the course of this show to ask this guys some question. So I would like to get the opening thoughts of our guests this morning. So I'm starting from Mr. Jack Obiya. Your opening thought, please.
Okay, well, this is about ministerial list or ministerial compensation. Right. Well, I think I do not agree with that term, ministerial compensation, because, like I've always said and argued, that the selection of ministers is a process that is party driven, and it doesn't just have to do solely with the president. Of course, the president has a role to play. It has to do with the different the 36 states of the country, the parties in these states selecting their respective candidates and then forwarding the names to the president before he then takes in the final decision on who to forward to the National Assembly or not.
Thank you very much,
so
Mr. Jack.
Basically,
okay.
I do not agree, obviously, that it's a compensation list. It has a whole lot to do, but mostly party driven.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fares, please.
Well, when you talk about ministerial list, it shouldn't just be about a party thing. You know, we've seen in this country where the former administration, where ministers who were never part of political parties or never affiliated to political parties were brought in and appointed as ministers. We had Charles Soludo, who came in and revolutionized the banking sector. That's why you and I can put our money in the banks today and we feel we can go to sleep. Because when Soludo came on board, he was never a politician, he was never a member of any political party at that time. When Okonjo-Iweala came on board, she was never a politician, she was not a member of any political party. So it should never be about political parties. I think the president got it completely wrong, and I will be happy to delve more into that when the show goes on.
Now, during the course of this discourse, there's something we'll be looking at. We'll be comparing the list that President Buhari submitted to the Senate now, comparing it with the ministers under President Goodluck Jonathan. Now, as it is with the game of football, if you want to know if a team is going to do well, when the league is starting, you begin to look for who the manager of the team is signing into his team. And that's the reason when you see a Messi in a football team, you see a Ronaldo in a football team, you are quite aware that, come on, the reason why this manager is buying a lot of attacking, a lot of strikers, is because he wants to boost his attacking formation. And so, the amount of ministers, or the kind of persons the president brings into his team will determine his policy direction. So the first question I want to ask Mr. Jack Obiya, what is the policy direction of this administration? Is there any at all?
Of course there is, and we can even go back to that name, next level, which is going from change to next level, continuing what they have been doing, this process of reorganizing and restructuring Nigeria. Many people may argue that, but we have been able to bring out all the points about restructuring, from local government autonomy to House of Assembly's autonomy and all that. So not until we know their portfolios, we won't be able to just directly define for them or go into deep details about the policy direction. But I'm very happy to see the caliber of people that have been brought in this time around, the likes of the Fashola, Amechi, Festus Keyamo, Bemisola Saraki, and of course our star girl Sharon Ikeazo. So again, like I said, not until we have the portfolios, we will not be able to go into deep details about the policy direction. But what I'll tell you is that it will be very similar to change, but now for taking it to the next level.
Mr. Jack, I'm sorry, I know you expect me at this point in time to bring in a Fares, but I'm not going to do that.
Go on.
I'm going to ask you the next question based on what you just told us. You said before now, because the first term was actually change. Did anything change?
A whole lot.
Can you give us a list of this change?
Oh my God, a whole lot changed in the next level. I mean, during the era of change. The fundamental thing was, I would say, the blocking of leakages, because one of the main things the president used to campaign was he was going to fight against corruption. So he did a whole lot to block leakages, that of ghost workers, that of Treasury single account, and a whole lot of other policies that he implemented, and that you would see that, of course, there's been total change.
Okay.
I even made one example this morning on my wall, saying with the ongoing construction, I mean in terms of infrastructure as well,
okay,
that we all know, in terms of power,
thank you.
we now have energy mix.
I think we're okay with that for now. Now,
yeah.
Mr. Fares, can you spot, you know what I mean when I say sports, can you spot any policy direction as far as this administration is concerned?
First of all, there's nothing like a policy direction in the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. There has never been and there will never be. The reason is because we have a president that has been hijacked. You know, right now, there's a cabal that is running this country. And, you know, it's very sad when my brother will come and try to paint a picture of a system that is working. First of all, let me respond to him before I go back to you. He did mention that a lot changed in last administration, the change administration. The things that changed in the administration was in 2015 when the administration came on board. Between 2015 and 2019 of that administration, Nigeria went from a relatively poor country to an extremely poor country, which means in that period, over 80 million Nigerians slipped into poverty, extreme poverty. You know, and now we are in such a depressing state of poverty that more and more people are, from the records, more and more people are entering the poverty market. Every day, every minute, 6 Nigerians are slipping into extreme poverty. So at the rate we are going, it will not, if another 4 years of this administration, and if they continue that pace, the pace at which they came on board in 2015, they continue like that, then the whole of this country will be sunken into this this poverty that this administration came with. Now, to answer your question again, which is bordering on the policy direction. First of all, it depends on who is driving the governance. We have a president that is not even aware of things that is happening in the country. A president that is not even aware of the killings in the country. A president that is not even aware of the marauding Fulani herdsmen attacks on communities in the country. So how can this kind of person who is not even aware of what's going on drive any policy change? Now look at the list of people, look at the caliber of people that he put together as ministers. These are people, some of them are people who are facing criminal charges. Let's take Akpabio, for example. He's a guy who the EFCC is chasing.
We're going to come to that.
How do you expect this kind of people to drive any policy that will bring change?
So in a nutshell, there's no policy direction.
In the same vein, sir, please, just in the same vein, we have people who were ministers before, who under their service, we got nothing in the country. Let's take Fashola, for example. He was Minister of Works and Power. Power has become non-existent. In my area, I don't have light for 2 months. That's the reality. And you can ask everybody here. I'm sure everybody here is feeling the same thing.
Okay.
So
let's talk about
reality.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Fares.
What was the essence of appointing someone like Fashola?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Fares. It is on that note I'm going to be asking my next question. Now, this is how Punch decided to put this whole issue of ministerial list yesterday, and I'll just quote it. When they came up with a very powerful caption that I found it fascinating. He said, the ministerial list submitted by the President of the Senate, he said, is simply the return of yesterday's men for today's job. That's Punch for yesterday. Return of yesterday's men for today's job. And the question I want to ask is this. If you check the list, we have a lot of ministers that will return. This question I'm directing to Mr. Jack Obiyan, please. We have a lot of ministers, like 14 of them that were returned. We have a lot that were not returned. Now, if you see what Punch decided to come up with, they said, we're having, if you check the list, go through, scan through the list, we have a lot of yesterday's men that are returned, that are coming back for the next level. And a lot of Nigerians, they feel that, come on, these guys, they don't look like somebody that is going to be able to handle the next level. I want to give you a simple question. We have in this list somebody like our own Osage Ihanire returning. We have somebody like Adamu returning. We have somebody like Abubakar Malami returning. You know who he is. You know all the controversies that trailed. You know him very well. Returning. And we have somebody like Ike Kachuku not returning. It's surprising. So let's hear your view concerning this. Please.
It's not surprising. Like I said, we have to go back to why main reason why these people are returning. Okay? Again, we have to go back to the fact that, you know, the way ministers are selected, it is not just the president coming up and say, you know what, from these 36 states, this is who I need. They go back to the party, they revert back to the party. The party will say, we'll have to forward names. And from these names, and just like everywhere in the world, and let me tell you this, and you can go and find out, today Boris Johnson that is elected as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, all the people that make form members of his cabinet are his loyalists. Same thing with Donald Trump. Same thing with other countries that I've also lived in Europe. I follow the political trends, and I see that that's how it works. Loyalty, and of course, your qualification matters. All these names you just mentioned, is there anyone that is not qualified to be a minister of the Federal Republic? Okay. None of them.
Okay, they are all qualified.
They are all qualified.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. We all saw a video that went viral of the governor of Edo State and Governor Goni Obaseki. He made a statement. He said, come on. And he doesn't know what is happening, especially now we're trying to reduce it now to Edo State. Like, he doesn't know what is happening. A situation where he sits down in Benin City, he gets a call from Abuja, and they tell him that, come on, there's a name that has been submitted as a minister. That please, do you know this guy? Should he go? So the guys came up with something, saying, come, I can't be a governor and not be a governor. I think that's a word that is trending online now. I can't be a governor and not be a governor. The question I want to ask is this. Should we use, as critical as a minister, the position of a minister is, should they use it as a tool for political compensation? Over to Mr. Fares, please.
Well,
I thought the question was
for him. Bring it back to you.
I'll respond to your question, but quickly, there's something he made mention of, which I need to quickly address. He did talk about Donald Trump having his loyalists in government and Boris Johnson. But he didn't mention in South Africa right now, when the president came on board, he appointed 6 ministers from the opposition party. 6 ministers from the opposition party. So why did he do this? It's not, first of all, he tried to form a government of unity. Secondly, he also realized that in the opposition party, there are people who have that capacity that he can also work with. And he went overboard to bring them on board to work with him to deliver. And so that's saying that it's not necessarily about your political party. It's about personalities. If you find a person in an opposing party that has the ideas, that has the character, that has the personality to drive change in your government, you bring the person on board. It's not necessarily about political parties. It's not a political party affair. It's never been. There's no word in our constitution that says that the president must only appoint people from his political party. It never says. And there's no way in the constitution that says that the president or the political parties are the ones solely responsible for forwarding names to the president. Now, let's take Hanire, for example. Ehanire was not appointed because his name was submitted from Edo State. Nobody pushed his name from Edo State. Not the governor, not Adam Soshoma. Nobody pushed his name. What happened was that Ehanire was a friend of the president, and during the time the president's son had an accident, the guy was very much active. He followed the president's son to Germany. He stayed in the hospital every day, sleepless nights with the president's son, and for that he was rewarded. That part the fact that
but you have to mention that Ehanire has a history beyond that with the president.
Apart from that,
He was in charge of CPC in Edo State also for years. So this dates back to a very long time.
That's when he was appointed. And his appointment has got nothing to do with merit.
It has to do with compensation.
Yes, it's just compensation for the fact that the president's wife and the president's family felt that he did enough for them when their son had an accident and they pushed his name. And
let's go back to
that goes to the credibility.
Okay, you call that, Mr. Jack is calling that loyalty.
But
that's what you call loyalty.
Loyalty has a big role to play.
Okay, good, let's continue.
Loyalty, okay. So I just made an example with Ehanire. So it gets to do with the character of the person. You see, it has nothing to do with competence. It has nothing to do with evaluating his performance while he was Minister of State for Health. If you go to UBTH now, the hospital is in the comatose state. Then we have a Minister of State for Health who's from Edo State. There was no federal hospital was equipped in Edo. No federal hospital was built. No new one was built. No new equipment was bought in Edo in the last 4 years under his watch. So which means, in our opinion, he failed woefully. Okay. But he's still back to this change administration because
not change, next level.
To this next level administration because of his role he plays in the accident. The president's son was involved in. And that tells the mindset of the president. He's not interested in appointing people who can deliver. He's interested in appointing people who he feels is close to. Now, secondly, let's look at Ralph Aregbesola, who was the former governor of Osun State. He was a governor that couldn't pay workers' salary for 40 months. He was owing workers' salary for 40 months. Workers were committing suicide. People were killing themselves in the state. The workers were in a state of depression. And this is the same person the president is nominating or even sending his name to the Senate to become minister.
Thank you, Mr. Fares. Thank you very much, Mr. Fares. Over to you. You see the points he just raised. Now, you called it loyalty. But the question I want to ask, as critical as the position of the minister is, don't you think that position should be occupied by technocrat rather than...
Is Dr. Ehanire not a technocrat?
No. I want to ask you, but let's not make mention of names now.
Okay.
Let's make sure. Because we've seen cases in this country where a barrister that have done well in the legal arm of governance is brought to be the minister of works, minister of power, and minister of every other thing. Now, what's your take on this?
The simple reason is that because he was the governor of Lagos State.
Okay, so the governor, during the course, I'm coming. So what you are saying there says, during the course of the 8 years he spent at the governor of Lagos State, he was able to learn
a whole lot beyond just being a lawyer.
Okay, so
because he had to develop Lagos State.
So that qualifies
the plan of the APC
so that qualifies
in Lagos State.
Okay, that qualifies
and he did it very well.
Answer my questions
and
now.
Of course, loyalty plays a role.
Don't you think technocrat loyalty? That's the word you have been using.
Yeah,
loyalty plays
you have to be loyal.
Okay,
if I'm president of the country today, I will be mindful of loyalty. Because we have seen where people that are not loyal have brought to the detriment of one's success in power.
And we have seen supposed loyal persons come back to begin to witch hunt or fight against the persons that place them in power. We're not going to that now. The question I want to ask you, should we sacrifice competence in the altar of loyalty?
No. The thing, like I said, both of them should be taken into consideration.
But
loyalty plays a very big role.
Okay. Loyalty should be more than
loyalty. I believe that loyalty has to be more than competence. I tell you why. I'll break that a little bit down. Because loyalty and passion are also carried along. That's what's happening with the aviation sector today. You can see I put it on my wall 2 days ago, and I said that the Minister for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, and during the change era, did very well. 0 air disaster. 134 out of 157 projects were completed. It's all there in public domain. We all know these things. And this guy in particular, he's a loyal and staunch supporter of Buhari apart from his qualification and competence. They are all displayed. These things are carried along. So if I'm the president of a country today, I'll watch out for the people who are coming into my cabinet. I want to see loyalty there. I want to see passion there. And I also want to see competence there. We cannot discard any. We cannot just say competence. I want to bring someone who hates me as a person because he's qualified. He wants to come and be a member of my cabinet. No. I would not trust that that person is going to fully discharge his duty with all professionalism.
Mr. Fares, Mr. Fares, it's easy to be in the opposition and cite what should be done right and what should not be done at all. Now you had him, and this is Nigeria. Your party was in government for as much as 16 years. During the era of your party, we saw the same thing play out. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
Not true. That's completely not true.
Okay.
In the time of the PDP, first of all, let's look at where the country was when PDP came on board in 1999. Mm-hmm. In 1998, virtually nobody could travel out of Nigeria from Nigeria because most of the countries and all the airlines, they blacklisted Nigeria. So at that point, I remember when my father was trying to go to the UK at that time, he had to travel to Ghana to travel to London. That's how bad it was. Between 1999 and 2015, we had one of the most busiest travel routes in the country, which means from a country that was blacklisted where people couldn't travel from, we became a country where the most visited country in Africa.
That's from 99?
Yeah, from between 1999 to 2015.
Okay.
So secondly, if you look at the caliber of people, when the PDP was forming government, if you look at the caliber of people they brought in, it had nothing to do with political loyalty or party followership. Now let's take examples. I made an example before with Charles Soludo. Charles Soludo was a banker in the US.
Okay.
When Olusegun Obasanjo became president, he was told about a certain guy who he never met before. This guy is doing very well in the US and he has done so much in the banking sector. And that was how Soludo was brought in to become the CBN governor. And today, we all can go to bed with our money on our banks without any fear that something will happen to us. But we all know what happened before when you put your money in banks and then the next thing you hear that the banks folded up. We know the story of Savannah Bank. We know the story of different other banks, which I don't want to mention all of them here. Now let's go to Okonjo-Iweala. The same Okonjo-Iweala that was not a member, up to this moment, is still not a member of any political party. Olusegun Obasanjo brought her on board, and what did she do? She was able to negotiate our debts and paid off our Paris debt to the tune of $12 billion and cleared it. And for the first time, Nigeria became the first country in Africa to be completely debt-free.
And she refused to raise alarm about Dasuki Gate. Let me finish. When all the billions were being signed out of CBN, she refused to raise alarm. That to me is a no-no. That's where I score Okonjo-Iweala down because she never raised alarm.
Let me finish.
She never raised alarm.
And to say, you just made a mention just now that the Minister of Aviation did very well. Yesterday, I was trying to look for a ticket to travel to Rome. While looking, I said, okay, let me check if I can even fly Nigeria Air, and I got the tickets from Nigeria Air. And as I'm talking now, I am booked to fly with Nigeria Air to Rome next week. So that's an applause to the Minister of Aviation.
And which platform did you use to get the ticket?
No, I'm flying to Nigeria Air, because now we have a Nigeria Air that is existent. That if I might go to the way you are rating the minister. No, but he didn't let me finish because he interjected me, I wish I never did to him when he was talking.
Okay, let's finish
now, then come to the other administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, which was just the last administration before this one. We had the Minister of Agriculture, who the president never met before. He never met him before, never knew him before. He was told that a certain minister, he read it on Forbes, that a certain minister in Botswana has revolutionized the agricultural sector in Botswana. And that's why I invited him. And what did he bring on board? The guy came and changed the agricultural sector in Nigeria. He brought a lot of innovation into the agricultural sector for the first time, because under that administration, I worked in the fertilizer distribution sector. And I can tell you that with your phone in your hand as a farmer, you could easily get your fertilizer.
At what cost? At what cost?
He eradicated.
At what cost, please?
He eradicated.
No, we need to know the price now.
He eradicated.
We need to know the price because
of 5,200.
No.
Yes, because I
fact check.
Up till now, I still sell fertilizer.
Fact check, please. We have to do a fact
I'm a
check.
registered agro dealer. I'm a federal government registered agro dealer. I have my certificate and I sell fertilizers. I have a fertilizer shop in Okada. I am the only federal government approved fertilizer distributor in Okada. You can confirm that. You can check that out. So I am talking facts. A federal government bag of fertilizers he was selling
now,
cost of 5,200.
Conclusively, Mr. Fares, you said telling us that during the era of the PDP, it's a square peg.
It's about
and a square.
competence. It's about competence.
Okay.
Now, the Minister of Agriculture under Jonathan studied at Greek.
No,
the Minister of Works under Jonathan, Mike Ononomeme, studied civil construction.
Okay.
Now, the Minister of Works under President Muhammadu Buhari studied law. The Minister of Agric studies French. Okay. The Minister of Information studied Agric.
Okay, now.
So you have people who are
Mr. Fares, as you see, I'm going to come in now.
I need to correct that.
Okay,
we have to correct that very quickly. Let's get this very clear. It doesn't matter what you study because I know that from my experience, from my work experience. Okay. It doesn't matter what you study. What studies does is that it proves that you have the capacity to do something, to solve problems intellectually. Okay?
Thank you.
Now, the key thing here is when you have hands-on experience about solving problems. That's where Fashola can be a minister for works. Okay. Because as the Lagos State governor, in fact, everybody they were all laughing at him when he said he was going to solve the problem of Oshodi, and he did. Do you have light today? He was minister of power. Now power has become worse. Fashola was only appointed because of the union he contributed into the power. I'll lecture you.
You guys are listen. You know what? You guys are allowed. You guys are allowed for a free for all. You know what? It's a face off. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Lecture him about power.
The reality. The reality right now is that we are running generator in this place right now. That's the reality.
Okay. And you know what? We are going to go on a short break now. But before then, I'd like you guys to know that this face off is brought to you by Lasien Water. They are the major sponsors for this show this morning. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we are going to allow this whole thing to be a free for all. I guess you guys are ready for it. That free for all. Thank you very much. We'll go on a short break, please.
Nothing but everything. It's the Breakfast Show on TSL Nigeria TV.
Welcome to the 101.
To TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.
No. Okay, welcome back. You see, you might be surprised the reason why we're laughing. The reason why we're laughing is that though we went on a short break, but there was never a break period here because my guests in the studio, they are hitting this whole place. Like I told you, I said, when you bring Fares and a Jacobiya on set to argue on issues that has to do with Nigeria, especially when Buhari still remains the president of Nigeria, it's sure going to be an heated moment. Before we went on break, we were discussing about competence and loyalty. And Mr. Jack said, as far as it's concerned, when it comes to the appointment of ministers, we should look more on loyalty. Why? Mr. Fares said, come on, these guys, they need to get things done for us. That's the reason why we are bringing them on board. We should look more on competence. They didn't agree on that aspect, I would believe. It's just the way they don't agree on anything as far as this debate is concerned today. Now, we're going to be looking at traits on the list. We have 14 After the 40 something I was submitted, we have 14 of them that are yesterday's men coming back to do today's job. I like that word. I don't know why. Now we're looking at them word for word. Now, name by name. The first we have here is Chris Ngige. Do we need a Chris Ngige? Yeah? Do we need a Chris Ngige in this era of next level?
The answer is
judging from his performance as a Minister of Labour in the last dispensation.
the answer is yes.
Okay, why?
The reason is simple, is apart from being a party loyalist and apart from being a loyalist to the cause of the APC's agenda for the country, he is also very well qualified in moving the country forward when it comes to employment. In terms of labor, I am aware that Ngige played key roles in facilitating what it required for companies to come into Nigeria and invest. The whole lot of them. So as Minister for Labour, he also played a key role in agriculture. He was a part and parcel of the government policy that got a lot of people employed in the agricultural sector. So Ngige is necessary. Is indispensable, to put it like that.
Now, are you aware, under Ngige, okay, in the last dispensation, we have a lot of labor disputes. A lot. ASU, NASU, even TSA almost went on strike under that dispensation. So, the question I want to ask is this: is that not enough to disqualify him?
Let me just answer that very quickly and straightforward, and in just a few seconds.
Okay.
Today we have a minimum wage of 30,000 naira.
Okay, from Ngige.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Now, Mr. Fares, 14 ministers are returning. Who among these ministers is your favorite? 14 of them.
None of them.
No.
Absolutely none of them. Now, first of all, let's look at Dr. Chris Ngige, a trained medical doctor coming to handle labor and employment. First of all, between 2015 and 2018, 13 million Nigerians lost their job. By 2019,
let me still come into that.
So
30 million Nigerians lost their job
from the Bureau of Statistics. That's the Bureau of
lost their job. Yes, but the same Bureau of Statistics, point of correction, and we have the publication to that, did not say lost their job.
They did lose their job.
Unemployment rate.
No.
We need to know how to turn this thing properly. There need to be an appropriate terminology, and it is unemployment rate. Let me correct you, please. Unemployment rate is what we're talking about.
No.
And it has to do with a lot of phenomena.
I didn't put water in my mouth when I said 13 million Nigerians lost their job.
That's incorrect.
That's fact. Secondly, in December of 2018, the Bureau of Statistics came out with their unemployment report, which says that 27% of Nigerians are unemployed. So put that together, when you have 27% of Nigerians unemployed, you put that figure in a country of 200 million, and you see that we are in a crisis mode. And now, secondly, under Dr. Chris Ngige, ASU went on strike for 7 months. Under Dr. Chris Ngige, you mentioned that we now have an increment in the wage bill. But if you look at the corresponding from the increase in wage bill and the cost of living in Nigeria, you see that adding a 10,000 naira or 12,000 naira to, which has not even been implemented right now, adding it to the wage bill does not change the life of an average Nigerian. Now let me give you practical. Let me make it practical. Let me make it please. Just wait.
Now that you're referring to
let me finish. Okay. Let me make it practical. Now, in 2014, a price of a liter of petrol was 87 naira. In 2018, a price of a liter of petrol is 145 naira. So there's about 40% increase. In 2014, the price of a bag of rice is 7,000 or 8,000. In 2018, 2019, a price of a bag of rice is twice that amount, over 50% increase. So if I was earning 15,000 naira in 2014, I could do more in terms of my living standard than earning 30,000 unimplemented.
Is that why it's called a minimum, not a maximum wage?
Yeah, I'm making reference.
Why are you taking the word off my mouth? I wanted to actually address that.
All my references are to the minimum. Okay. So which means I'm talking about the guy who earns the least.
No, but your reference to rice is not the minimum.
It is minimum.
No,
it is
come
minimum.
on. So what's the cost of rice in the north?
As the bag of rice increased,
What's the cost of bag of rice in the north?
If I, like me, I cannot afford.
Since your reference is to the minimum,
to afford
since your reference to the minimum,
so I buy cups.
What's the cost of bag of rice in Lagos? Lake rice.
We're not in Lagos, I'm Benin.
So what? Yeah. So are you talking about Benin?
I don't buy rice in Lagos. I'm talking about how the minimum
is this debate about Benin or Nigeria?
Is Benin not part of Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. Is it about Benin or
Nigeria? Do you live in
Lagos? Because when you mention MBS,
do you buy rice from Lagos? Have you bought your rice from Lagos?
You
have
said
you ever bought your rice from Lagos? I'm talking about. How do you know that? We have a place that sells rice now in the bottom of this building. If you go there now and buy a bag of rice, I think they will give you rice from Lagos. They're going to give you rice the same here in Benin. And the reality is that the cost of that bag of rice is 16 to 17,000 a bag, which is more than 50% increase in the last 4 years. So whether you like it or not, the man has not done well.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask this next question. It's good. I would want Mr. Jack Obiyan to, first of all, give me this answer first. Section 147 of the 1999 Constitution was amended when it talked about selecting ministers from all the states of the Federation. I want to ask you a question. Do you think that section should be amended? Because it constrains the president that you must get somebody from those states. And now you said something about loyalty, which means that if you don't have somebody that is competent in your party in those states,
competent and loyal
in your state, you will be forced to take somebody that is loyal, that is not competent from your state.
It's not like that.
Okay.
We always have them in our party.
Okay, we only have them.
We always have them in our party.
Okay, so now
our party attracts competent and loyal people.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you're saying that section that says the president should remain as it is.
So what I think should be, and in accordance with Festus Keyamo, what I think should be reviewed is the entire constitution itself.
The entire constitution.
Yes. Okay. There are a whole lot of things that need to be up to date to the present reality of Nigeria that are not.
Okay.
Yes.
So over to you.
So and I quickly want to correct an impression that he made, and he himself knows because he's smiling, about the federal government in terms of health sector in Edo State hasn't done anything. Nothing. And I'll just tell you directly, and as I speak, primary health care centers in all the senatorial districts and in virtually all the local governments were upgraded throughout an area's time. They are there. Go and check it. Go and cross-check. And not only that, the current governor of Edo State, I may not say this, but I also have to say, is also participating in this upgrade by providing renewable energy-driven, stable power supply for these primary healthcare centers.
Okay, that means the next time Jack is not feeling fine.
Jack, my brother Jack.
I just want to correct that. And he knows. You can do a fact check.
Okay.
He knows that.
Let's separate propaganda from reality. I can understand when making posts on Facebook and we drive it as political propaganda for campaigns and all that. But let's talk as people who feel the pains of the reality on ground, or people who are on ground and who are Nigerians who get to do these things and see these things on ground. When you say primary health centers have been built all over.
No. Being renovated, revitalized. Actually is the key word. Revitalized.
Okay. I would not want to argue that because it's not true, but I don't want to delve into that. But let me go to the question he asked. He talked about the constitutional spread of ministers. Right now we have ministers from 36 states, and then we have another set of ministers from the 6 states of the 6 geopolitical zones.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, we must realize that we have a president that is with all due respect to the office of the president, we have a president that is sectional. We have a president that is ethnic in nature. We have a president that appoints people purely based on ethnicity. And the only reason why he is even taking ministers from the 36 states is because it's a constitutional requirement. If there was no constitutional requirement for the president to select ministers from 36 states, I'm telling you right now, as far as Okpere, that all President Buhari's ministers would have been from the north.
Okay.
And all of them would have been from his village.
Okay.
Now let's look at those appointments that he made that is not backed by constitutional spread. Look at the service chiefs. For the first time in Nigeria, we have all the service chiefs from one ethnic zone. All of them, not all of them, all of them, Fulanis.
All of them?
Yes.
Service chiefs?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
So what was the guy from Cross River State?
He was only
chief of
when was he appointed?
We have the chief of defense staff, who is also the head of the service chiefs.
We have the director of SSS. We have the chief of defense staff. I'm coming. Let me mention. Let me.
Director of SSS is not a member of service chiefs. Let's know how government is called first of all now. Calm down. I know you are tense. Just calm down. I'm not tense. Okay, good. Let me list them out. Let me list them out. Let's be specific. Remove DSS. Service chiefs. Remove DSS. Leave them out. The only reason you mentioned the one from the naval chief is because you don't have a lot of Northerners in the Navy. That's the fact. Go and check it. You don't have a lot of Northerners in the Navy. They rather join the army, the army than joining the Navy. They don't like joining the Navy. And that's fact. You can check it out. If you go and check the composition of the armed forces of Nigeria, you see that we have more Southerners in the Navy than Northerners in the Navy. Okay, what of chief of defense staff? He's a Yoruba man.
When was he appointed?
Right from the very beginning.
No.
Right from the very beginning.
No.
Okay, now, Mr. Fares, Mr. Jack, at this point in time, we will be giving room to the audience. Like I told you guys, I said I have some wonderful audience in the studio this morning, and I'll be giving this opportunity to introduce themselves and ask questions. And please, if your question is directed to a particular guest, please make mention of the person's name so they can take down the question. So we'll start. Are we going to be asking the questions once, or they should ask it bit by bit? So we can
I take one question.
One question is fine. Okay, please, let's start from.
They should ask one. I'll just list it down.
No. They can ask a question once.
Okay, now they say you should ask.
Direct your question. Do you want to ask?
Direct your question. Do you want to ask? If it's for both of them, just say both of them so they can answer your question.
Well, my name is Asiwaju Ibafe Alonge. I have this question for Mr. Fares Okpere. In the days of PDP, we could remember there was a time there was a serious crisis in the state as regards name that was sent to the president as a minister, that is Mr. Mike Onaleveme. There was a huge dispute because the people were not consulted. The PDP guys in the states, the party echelon was not at any time consulted. It was our Baba there, Mr. Fix-It. I just went to his bedroom and picked a name. That means he sent that name based on the fact that the person was loyal to him. I think that is where loyalty comes in. And I don't see any reason why we should fault the president to toe the same line, because loyalty matters. And the question I have for you is that I have a question that is just to make some clarifications.
Okay.
The question I have, you made mention of Godswill Akpabio has been investigated. Is someone undergoing investigation, is the person indicted that such a process should disqualify the person from being appointed into such an office?
Okay, thank you. Now, I never mentioned that someone under investigation cannot be appointed. What I'm talking about is for a government who came with the agenda of fighting corruption, then you should be able to allow that room for morality come into your government. Because if you appoint someone, and we know in Africa, the president's men, you don't dare touch them. I'm telling you from facts. Now, if you appoint someone who is undergoing in an investigation from a border agency that is controlled by the federal government, how do you expect the investigation to go on smoothly? How do you expect an EFCC, which is under the control of the federal government, which is under the control of the president, to continue investigating a minister that the president appointed in his cabinet? It becomes there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but and so we don't have Kemi Adeosun today again.
That's because
for you to know that the president did not interfere or they did not.
How long did it take the president to act on it?
Okay.
And how long did it take the president to act? It was because of people like us. Those of us who felt that it was wrong to have her because the president did not even say a word on it.
We did not have. The
president was virtually forced.
Babachilawa, we don't have him again today.
How long did it take the Babachilawa?
Thank you very much, Mr. Faris. I think you've answered the question. Let's move to the next person, please.
They are asking a question.
Okay, you have a question. Okay, your question, please.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My question, I'm directing it to you, Mr. Jack. For some time now, you've been speaking on loyalty. Are you going to say that we're going to put the detriment of, we're going to put the lives of 200 million Nigeria at the detriment of loyalty by bringing back about, let me say, 10 incompetent ministers back to power, especially people like Lai Mohammed, Minister of Power, and other people? Thank you very much.
Over to you, Mr. Jack.
Thank you very much for your question. Well, like I said, it's not only based, just to correct that impression, it's not only based on loyalty, it's also based on competence. And you may have noticed that this time around, we've moved to 43 nominees.
42.
43, I think that's the figure. Yeah? What this implies is that more professionals are coming on board and the tasks are going to be divided, because I was one of those, thanks to self-criticism, I was one of those that said very clearly, and it's on record, that Fashola was overwhelmed. That he's a performer, but he's overwhelmed. So we know now that when we have 43 persons on board, Fashola might stay with works or power, and then housing, and the other will be given to other competent people on board. So the lives of 200 million Nigerians is going to be well spread across board this time around. So you have no cause to worry.
Now, Mr. Jack,
I have cause to worry.
To add to that, Mr. Jack, I want to ask you this question. A situation when, I like using the football analogy to describe this whole thing. You're having a crop of players in the field, and you know something is not working. This is what you have in mind to achieve. You need to win this game, because you might not be able to conclude what you want to do in the second half. You need to score goals. You need to satisfy Nigerians. And things are not working. It is left for you to rejig your team. But in the first term, one expected President Buhari to rejig the team, which he never did. Why?
Well, the thing is, I'll just first of all say that maybe it's one of his imperfections.
Imperfection, that's right.
Yeah, and I was one of those who also criticized quite a number of times the fact that he did not reshuffle cabinet. I want to believe that he is going to do it this time around. And with this appointment, you can see with this ministerial list, there's reshuffling. I mean, the people like Dambaza who are no longer there, and some others in the list who are no longer there. So that reshuffling has happened now, and I hope it does happen mid-term.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from the next person, please.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ariladia Samson. My question is directed to Mr. Jack. I can remember vividly 2018 when Mr. President signed in the law or an act of not too young to rule. He promised the Nigerian youth that he will definitely include them in his cabinet to move the nation forward. I want to know actually the exact age of the youngest nominees that has been nominated on this ministerial list.
Jack, that's critical because we actually expected them. Please, I hope the cameras are on me. You see, when I was expecting this list for 2 months, we didn't see this list. We expected that we will see names like Jacobia, Ekel Modupe also. Though I'm not a member of the party, making the list, but none of that. So his question now is this: the age of the youngest nominee in this list.
I don't think I know. I can tell you with certainty. But I don't think there's any minister that is younger than 40 years of age.
Okay.
There's no one.
Okay, it's not youth friendly.
There's no one even below 50.
Okay, which means it's not youth friendly. The list is
not 52. Clem Agba 55.
Okay, which means the list is not youth friendly.
Well, again,
a direct answer, please.
A direct answer, like I said, there's a lot of partisan politics.
Okay, which means that. But we would expect that the youths. We have a lot of youthful minds like Jacobia in the APC. Are you not saying that the position the youth should occupy in political party has to do with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram?
Of course not. We will get to that stage. I think our democracy is still in the phase of developing.
Okay.
Well,
I want to ask, is there something you feel the youths are not doing right?
We need to work harder. We need to get more passionate about this. We need to get more involved in politics. I'm not saying politics. See, let me tell you, my own generational friends, childhood friends, people that we went to school together and all that. I can tell you today that not even one of them is commenting or debating with me or arguing with me or on my wall or is a social media influencer or political analyst that has come out like me or that is involved. I mean, just maybe a couple of them that I know that don't even write one line of post on social media that are involved in politics. Most of them are not. Okay. Most of them are not interested in politics. I don't know why the Nigerian youths are not.
Even the ones that are interested, what happened? I know a lot of them, especially from the APC, a lot of youths.
Yes.
I'm a youth, so I know a lot of them, especially in the APC. I'm surprised when it comes to political appointment, these guys don't get the job. The only appointment they get is being online. They give them data, give them phones, give them what they need to give to them to be online, to be pushing content from this old generation.
What my brother has not admitted here is the fact that the president lied. That's simple. We don't always curry a lie and try to push it down the throat of people who want to swallow it. How do you come out and the president says on a national TV that he's going to appoint youths? He's going to appoint young people
as ministers?
Yes.
No, what he said is that he has spoken on behalf of the president now that he's sure that this is why the president didn't get to appoint these guys because they are not available. Is that not what you said?
That's not true, and that's not true. And that's
the level of participation.
Okay, that's what
that is not true, and that again, let's not trivialize it. That's not true. First of all, there are a lot of competent young people in Nigeria.
And how many were appointed by Obasanjo and Jonathan?
I can tell you that Frank Roque Jr. was less than 40 when he was the Minister of Information in 1999. I can make an example. And you can't do that in the last 4 years. You can't do that. Right now, you can't still do that.
That's fine.
Now, let me continue, please. Okay. Now, you see, it's not something that we just wish away. These are things that get to do with you and I. We are young people. And it's something that concerns our own future. In a situation where people just say, oh, I will appoint youths, and then they don't do it. They change their mind halfway, or they feel that we are not important. When Mr. President signed the bill into law, he said that this time around he will make sure that youths are part of his cabinet. And what did you get? Virtually nothing. Nothing. And my brother here, I'm even more concerned about my brother here is trying to curry it for us to swallow, and which I don't like that. Because if you look at when it comes to electioneering and campaigns, youths play the biggest role, not just on social media, even on ground. In the course of the campaigns, in the course of putting posters, putting billboards, designing strategies and all that. They do it. They put all of this together. He knows what I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, when it comes to now forming governments, the same people who you used to run your campaign, who contributed immensely, might not be financially, but they put in so much energy. Because you can't take away the fact that with the population of youth in Nigeria today, we are the most energetic people in the country. And then when it comes to forming government, you feel that we are not important. Then I don't take that there was a time we had a PDP youth leader, national youth leader, who was 59. We made sure they removed him. We made sure that he was removed because we felt that it was an embarrassment to have somebody like that as a youth leader of that age. We came out on Facebook, we rallied, and he was dropped. Now that's to tell you that we are passionate about seeing young, whether APC or PDP. I would have been happy to see young people in President Buhari's government. Not because I have any particularity to give, but it says a lot about the Nigerian youth and how we are progressing.
There are young people in President Buhari's government.
So he's not speaking Buhari, he's speaking generally.
Because his kitchen cabinet has young people.
Oh, come on, let's not narrow it down to people who are glorified houseboys. Let's not bring it down to that. Let's not bring it down to that level. What we are talking about ministers. We are talking about ministers. If you can't appoint a youth, you don't see any youth in the whole of the country who is competent enough to be a minister, then it says a lot about your person and how you see the Nigerian youth. Now look at it. The guy who formed Konga was a Nigerian youth, one of the companies that was doing so well in Nigeria. Nigerian youths are doing so well in the agricultural sector, they're doing so well in the ICT sector. Right now, in terms of agriculture, Nigerian youths are the one driving it. In terms of ICT, Nigerian youths are the one driving it. And you know, you're in that sector. You understand? So, what are we talking about? If you don't find anybody competent enough just to say, okay, I made this promise on TV, let me keep it. So that people respect me.
I don't remember the president saying I want to appoint you as ministers anyway.
That would be a nice way for you to give us your closing thoughts. We're going to come to Jack. I remember before we came on set this morning, I was having a discourse with Jack Obia, and we were discussing about the security situation in those states. There are some solutions that Jack proffered, and I was surprised. Come on, if those solutions they are implemented. The issue of kidnapping, the issue of Hausa boys going from combat to steal in the state, the issue of courtesan in those states will be dealt with. But the issue now is this: we have minds like Jack Obia in governance. We only have them in politics. Let's say your closing thought, Mr. Johnson, and wrap up this show.
No, my closing thought is that, let me just redirect it back to the debate we have so far had today about ministerial lists versus ministerial compensation. Again, I am very much in support of what the party and the president has done. They've looked for 43 loyalists / competent / professionals who they believe will serve the best interest of the party and the country as a whole to move to carry on with the next level agenda. So again, like I said, I'm totally in support of the system. It is usually what is practiced worldwide. Looking at the presidents of the leading countries, there is no one who does not have loyalists / competent people around them. So that's just, I'll leave it there as my closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacob. You saw it? No, you've already run.
On my own closing remark, I like to respond. If you say,
but I will now also have to respond.
If you say presidents around the world appoint loyalists, no president around the world is appointing a man who was governor and could not pay workers' salary for 40 months. Appoint them as ministers and say you're appointing loyalists. Oh, what is loyalty when you are incompetent? Okay. You know, people like Rauf Aregbesola should never in the history of Nigeria be anywhere near governance anymore.
Thank you very much, FACE Off Modupe. It is on this note we'd like to call it a day as far as the face-off is concerned. But please, I want to advise you, if in case you missed this debate, kindly log on to our social media accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at TSN Nigeria TV. And there's a place you can get to for you to be able to watch all our videos, and that is our YouTube page. Just click on subscribe and click on the notification button to get to TS Nigeria YouTube page. You search for us at TSN Nigeria Space TV, and this is where we'll be calling the show. Thank you very much for watching.